Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we are going to design the Facebook like interaction. Now you may be using Facebook these days or may not be using Facebook these days, but I'm pretty sure that you must have encountered Facebook at some point in your life. Facebook has pioneered a lot of really cool interaction in the world of design, and Facebook like interaction is one of those. It's really well implemented and an ingenious way to show multiple reaction in just one button, and was done so well that it was just copied directly by LinkedIn as it is. So today we are going to find out how can we design the same thing just using Figma, and at to what extent that we can design. So first of all, we'll move to facebook.com and we'll figure out what the interaction really is, and then we'll hop onto Figma quickly and then design the same interaction in Figma. So let's hop onto facebook.com. So guys, right now we are on facebook.com. This is one page that I have opened up, and if you go on any post, you see the like option. When you hover on the like option, you see all the other reactions coming up. So you don't click it. If you click it, just the like, but if you hover over it, you see all the other options. And when you hover over all the other options as well, each option zooms up. Whichever you select zooms up, and once you select anything, when you click on it, that particular thing gets selected. So this is the interaction. You see all the things, all the reactions coming up on hover, and each reaction has individual animation to it, and on hover all of them, the selected one zooms up. So the same thing we are going to build today in Figma. Let's see to what extent we can build this. So let's quickly hop onto Figma. So guys, we are in Figma right now, and what I've done is I've also created a dummy artboard for Facebook app. Let me just quickly run you through the components that I've created. So it has a navigation that contains just the Facebook logo, and it also contains a post group where I have added a few things. So it contains the user's image, user's name, when it was posted, some more icon, some description, some content here. So for example, I'm taking image here, but it could also be a video, and then the icons like, comment and share. So we are going to animate this like portion, and I have compiled all this thing in one group, and I'm calling it as a post. So I've grouped all of these components in one, and I'm calling it as post. Now what we're going to do is we are going to create a component out of it. So component has a lot of benefits. Group them and just come here and create a component first. So the benefit of component is that if you see, all the Facebook posts have sort of like similar structure. So it makes sense that we create component and then we create instances out of it. The first primary benefit is that if you change anything in the main component, it'll also get reflected in the instances. So let me, for example, if I just duplicate this component, I'll get an instance out of it. Now, how do you figure out which one is the main and which one is the instance? If you see in the panel, the main component is reflected by the solid 4 diamonds, and the instance is reflected by the hollow diamond. And if I change anything here in the main component, it'll also get reflected in the instance. Now the other thing is there's another benefit in prototyping, which I'll explain you when we do the prototyping bit. But for now, this is the main component and this is the instance. Now we also want to do is we want to override a few things in this component so that it looks like a different post. So let me quickly do that. So guys, what I've done is I have overridden this second component with some different images and a different profile photo and some different description so that it looks different. Okay guys, so now let's design all the different stages of that interaction, and then we'll link them together with the prototyping bit. So let's first create all the stages. So now the first thing that we need to do is, once we hover over the like icon, we want to see all the reactions flowing in, and there's a background that comes behind it. So let's first create that stage. So I'll draw a rectangle here just to get a sense of how big this needs to be. So this is what appears when you hover over it. Now we need the individual reactions. So if you remember in the interaction, the individual reactions has their own animation. Now that bit we cannot do directly in Figma. So what we can do is we can take the help of GIFs here. So I've got a few GIFs actually, I'll show you here. So these are basically GIFs that I've got from loticfiles.com. I'll link it below. So these GIFs have already animation inbuilt to them. Let me show you how it looks like. So if you see, these GIFs already have their own animation to it. So this will serve the purpose of the individual animation because we cannot directly build them in Figma. So get your reactions directly in the form of GIFs so that you can inbuilt it here as well. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just copy these GIFs now. And so this size works for us. I'll just move it out of it because we need to separately design it. So I'm just moving this rectangle out. And what I've done is I've copied, I'll select all of this and copy it and paste it here. So this looks fine. I think we need to make it a little bit smaller, these so I'll hit K and scale them down so that we also accommodate for the zoomed state. When we zoom them, we should have some space in the background as well. So I think this, and guys, I have manually scaled them individually because not all of the GIFs were of the same size. So I may manually scale them so that they look almost similar to each other in size. And we can, I think we can reduce this down. Something like this. Okay, so this now looks perfect. What I'll do is I'll select all of this. I'll first of all call it PG. And I'll select all of the GIFs together and the background and group them together. And after grouping them together, I'm gonna call it maybe phase 1. So this is our first phase of animation, so I'm calling it phase 1. Let me also remove this bit. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to change it to frame, and I'll explain you why we need to change this group structure to frame, because it gives this option of clipping content. I'll show you in a bit why we need this. So guys, if you remember in the interaction, when we hover over the like icon, these reactions flows in, so they don't appear statically, they appear coming into this background. So to simulate that, what we need to do is we'll just duplicate this bit. Okay, and this will become our phase 2. And what we need to do is we need to move these elements down so that when we transition from this to this, it will look like that we are moving in. So all of these are moving in at a different scale, different time. So what we'll do is we'll move them down so that when we move from this stage to this stage, it looks like these are coming in, appearing in this background. And we don't want them to appear at the same time. So what we can do is we can do a small trick here. We can make the distance from this area slightly different for everyone. So if you know that Figma does not allow different timings for different interaction, so what we can do is we can have something like different distances, so it will take different time for them to appear. So it'll appear, all of them will appear like a different stage and will appear very smoothly. So we're using a little bit of physics here. Speed is equal to distance upon time, and since speed is constant here, the more the distance, the more time will it take for these emojis to appear. So this will become our phase 1 and this will become our phase 2. And we also don't want anything to appear like, we don't want them to appear like this. So what we'll do is we'll select our entire thing phase 1 and do a clip content so that we don't see anything out of it. So the motion of them only when they appear in will be visible. Okay, so that's why we change this to frame, because once you do it a frame, you get an option for clipping content. So these reactions are still there, but if you do clip content, so anything out of the bounding box will not be visible. So great, so we have designed a phase 1, we have designed a phase 2 when the emojis have appeared. Now what we need to design is when we hover over each of them, they should zoom, right? So what I'll do is I will select this and duplicate it again. Okay, and what we need to do is we need to zoom one of these. So let's say I want to zoom this particular bit, the love emoji. So what I'll do is I'll come here, I'll hit K on my keyboard and scale them a little bit so that it becomes a little bit bigger. And since we have like ample space left and right, we can move the other things a little bit on the side. so that we can give a little bit of space to it. Okay, perfect. And I'll call it phase 3A. The reason being, this is just one of the emojis zoom, but what we need to do is we need to create stages for all of these hover states. So when we hover on this should zoom up. When we hover on this should zoom up, this should zoom up, this should zoom up. So what I'll do is I'll just select this and create multiple stages like this, where one of the other is zoomed up. So in the first one we zoomed up this one. What we'll do is we'll zoom up now this one. So I'll hit K again. And we'll move them a little bit on the side. And we'll call it phase 3B. Yeah. So guys, the same way you need to do it for all these things. So you need to create the zoomed stage for all of these interactions. So I'm going to do that really quickly now. So perfect guys, now what we have done is we have created all the zoom stage for all of these reactions. Now what we need to do is once we select on this like icon should change to that particular one. So what I can do is I can just copy this one here and detach this from symbol and change this one to the selected one. So for example, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 different stages, 5 different reactions. So we need to create 5 different stages of this. I'll just do it one for now. I'll change this like icon to the heart icon and like love around it. But you need to do it for all the 5 things so that once you select, you can link that particular zoom stage to this particular artboard. So that once you select that icon, this like hand icon changes to that particular reaction. So let me quickly do that for one of these. Guys, so now we have all of our stages ready. We have the initial stage. When we hover over the like icon, we get these 2 stages. Then when we hover on any of the reaction, we get this zoom stages, and I have zoomed all of the individual ones. So in one, this is zoomed, this is zoomed. So all of the different reactions are zoomed. So these are the different stages of zooming. And once we select any one of the zoomed state in the reaction, the main stage come and change to this particular reaction, that particular reaction. So I've done only for one, but you need to do it for all the reactions. So now what we need to do is we need to quickly go into our prototyping tab and wire this up. And now what we want is we will click on the like icon and we should open this stage here locally. So what I'll do is I'll just drag a arrow out of it, and on click you can also change it to on hover if you want, but on click is also fine. And we don't want to navigate to because we are not moving into frames. We want this to appear locally. So what we'll do is we'll choose open overlay. Okay, and as you do open overlay and manual setting, so make sure that this setting is changed to manual. You can come here and change it to manual, and what will happen is it'll show you a small preview of where it will appear like this. So we don't want it here, we want it like just over the like icon, just the way when we thought of designing it. So we want it to appear something like here. Yes, perfect. Now just make sure that this option is also selected, close when clicking outside. So what will happen is when I click anywhere outside of the overlay, it will close it. So that's what we also want. And the animation needs to be instant because we want it to appear instantly. Now let me just quickly show you only this bit, how it looks like in the preview mode. So this is our post, and when I click on the first one, it appears like this. So perfect, our first stage is perfectly done. Now guys, I told you there is a benefit of creating components. The other benefit that is there on creating a component is, so if you see, I just linked the first one to this, but all the instances also get linked automatically to this stage. So whatever animation I'll associate with this main component, which is this one, it also gets associated to all the instances that we have created out of this component. So if you see, all the posts have the same sort of structure. So we want this to appear on all of the posts the same way, right? So if I just link the animation, one animation, to the entire main component, it will also reflect on the other instances. So it will make our job easier. So that's the benefit of creating the component. See, and even this was an instance, so even this is showing the same interaction. So I just linked it once, but it appears on all the things. So that's the main benefit of creating component. You don't have to repeat the interaction if it's same. Okay, perfect. So now we have linked this to this, and it will appear like an overlay, like here. Now what we want is, once it appears, these should fly in. Now if you remember here, these are also available. Now since they are available at different stages, so it will appear at different time. So I'll do click content again, go in the prototyping bit, and from here till here, what we need to do is, we need to create link. We don't want on click, we want it to appear automatically, so we'll do after delay, and we want to give it like a really less time because we want them to appear as soon as this animation ends. So 10 milliseconds should do. Then we don't want navigate to. So again, I've told you, since everything is happening locally here, we don't want movement, we want it to appear in the same place. So instead of navigate to, we need to do swap with. So what swap does is, it will replace this entire element with this entire element. Since both of them are in the same size, you won't be seeing any difference. So we need to do swap with phase 2, obviously. And instead of instant animation, what we want to do is, we want to do smart animate. So what will happen is, the emojis that are, the reactions that are below, it will automatically animate into a perfect animation here. So smart animate, ease out, and I think 300 milliseconds is the default, so we should go with it. Let's see how it looks like first. So I'll go here, I'll hit my prototype tab again. If I click, perfect. So if you see, I click on the icon, and all of these appears at different stages, and they look perfect. So I think, yeah, this looks perfectly fine. See, all of them appear at different stages, so it gives a nice effect to it as well. And all of them, since they are GIFs, they are doing their individual animations as well. So perfect. So we are now good at second stage as well. Now from second to third, what we want is, when we hover on each of these, we should see the hover stages of each of these. So for example, if I hover on the first one, yeah, I should get the one where the first one is expanded. So this to this. Now we don't want on click, we want on hover. So we'll say while hovering. We don't want again navigate, because remember, all of these is happening locally here. We don't want movement between the screens. So what we need to do is swap with. So what swap will does is, we'll just replace the entire thing with this stage. And perfect, swap 3B. Smart animate is on, because we need smart animation, so we get the zoom in, zoom out effect. And 300 milliseconds seems slightly high, so we'll do 200 milliseconds because we want it to instantly zoom. Now we also want it to give like a slight spring animation while zooming up, but that is not there in Figma. So what we'll do is, we'll use ease out back. So ease out back gives slightly like a spring animation effect. You can try out the different animation out here, whichever you feel like is better, you can use it, but I've done something like this. Now let's see what it looks like in the prototyping bit again. So I'm here, and image is flying in. See, so when I hover over the first icon, it zooms up. Perfect. So now what we need to do is, and it also has like a slight, if you see, bounce to it. The zooming is not like very linear, it's slightly bouncy. So that's the reason I used ease in, ease out back. Now what we need to do is, we need to link all of the same animation to all of these stage to their respective zoom stage. So for example, this one, I need to link it to this. Exact same thing, not on click, while hovering. Navigate to, instead of that, swap with, smart animate, ease out back, 200 milliseconds. So let's quickly do that for all the stages and link them to their respective zoom stages. Okay guys, so what I have done right now is I have linked all of these individual stages to their respective zoom stage. Now what we want is when we click on any of these zoom stages, we should get that stage selected in this final thing. So what I'll do is I'll first, since I've only done one of these stages, you need to do all the five one. With the first one is love, you need to do for like, angry, sad, all of these, and wow as well. So you need to create all the stages, but I'm doing just for one so that you get the gist of it. So since we need, once we click on that particular zoom state, we need to come to this stage. So I'll just link this one to this. What I'll do is I'll just drag this to this stage, and on click, perfectly fine, navigate to, this is fine, and smart animate, ease out, 200 millisecond, this should do actually. So we don't want, so since now what we are doing is we are moving out of this stage to this stage, so navigate to will work for us. Okay, so that's why we are not doing swap anymore, we need to do navigate to, and I think this should work fine. Mostly we can do ease out, ease in, ease out as well. Okay, perfect. So let's quickly see how it looks like. So when we select, we get all this, hover this, wow, perfect. And once I select this, yes, awesome. So let me show you again one more time. So I'll come here, I'll click on the like icon, and I'll see all my emojis flowing in, and then when I hover over it, that emoji gets expanded, zoomed up. Guys, I've not done the naming of that, like wow, love and all. If you want, you can also add that tag, but just for the time's sake, I've done this. But this looks perfectly fine, and once you select any of this, the stage changes to that. So this looks awesome, and this is how you build the entire Facebook like interaction. Guys, so that's it for today. I hope you really like this one. This was slightly more advanced than my previous tutorials, where we have used, instead of navigate to, we have used swap with, and the reason of using swap and components together to create this entire interaction in just using Figma. So guys, I hope you liked it. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll come up with more interesting tutorials in my next videos. So stay tuned and happy learning. Bye bye.